Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your new favorite cricket fan channel called Willow and Leather. This is Shravan joining you again today. I just wanted to do a quick recap of the RCB versus LSG game that happened earlier today. Yeah, I don't know where to start. As an RCB fan, I think this has definitely been a very disappointing start to a campaign in the last several years. When I think about it, absolutely under par performance again across the board. Three losses in four games now. Two out of the three games lost at home. Not sitting pretty on the points table, almost at the bottom right now, and the team definitely is struggling across many different aspects. Quick recap of the game. So for starters, Faf du Plessis did win the toss and elected to chase, which I think obviously is the right decision. But again, similar kind of a start as we saw with our bowling against KKR as well. The team LSG kind of getting off to a flyer of sorts in the first three overs, but this time around, definitely a much better outing for the skipper in terms of his decision making. Bringing someone like a Glenn Maxwell in after that carnage in the first three overs was a fantastic move. I think his decision making with respect to not opting to bowl spinners in the power play has been a problem many times since last season, in fact. Especially in the previous game against KKR, we all saw the kind of damage that the openers did against our pace bowling attack. But this time around, I think Faf was smart enough to bring in Maxwell into the attack quickly to try and make something happen, which I think is an important aspect of captaincy when it comes to T20s. And the other big change, obviously, Reece Topley coming in instead of Alzari Joseph. If folks had caught my season preview for RCB, I felt that he should have been the one in the starting lineup, Reece Topley, I mean, who should have gotten that run of games initially instead of bringing in someone like an Alzari Joseph to start with. Offers that left arm seam option and has some good variations as well as compared to Alzari Joseph, who's just more of an outright pace attack bowler. I think after the first over, I think with Topley going for a few boundaries in that first over against de Kock, I think du Plessis kind of switched things around a little bit, which was great. And Maxwell, excellent bowling effort today, picking up 2 wickets for 23 runs in his 4 overs. Absolutely fantastic effort with the ball. So I think that was definitely an area of improvement when it comes to the bowling. And even in those middle overs, the bowling actually was fantastic. I think between overs number 11 and 17 or 18, I think it was, where the team kind of really put the brakes on the scoring. Even a set batsman like de Kock was finding it a little hard to hit the gaps or hit some big shots. So I think as a bowling unit in those middle overs, we bowled exceptionally well. A couple of key drop chances, Maxwell dropping Quinton de Kock, and then Anuj Rawat dropping Nicholas Pooran. Those did turn out to be pretty expensive drops at the end of the day. And Pooran showing basically what he brings to the table, going hell for leather in those final few overs, hitting Topley for 3 sixes in the second last over, and then 2 sixes off of Siraj as well in that final over. And that, I think, took the team to what I thought was a par score. I know, at least based on the assessment initially, some of the folks did mention that it might be a little bit too paced. But with the kind of boundary scoring that you can get at Chinnaswamy, I think 180 plus is a fairly par score. I think at one point they would have been looking at scoring more than 200 LSG, but then I think we did exceptionally well to bring the total down. But I think Pooran's acceleration towards the end at least got them to that competitive score of 180. All round, I think bowling wise, definitely a lot of signs of improvement. I think the new ball attack still is a question mark. Mohammad Siraj not opening the bowling for RCB for the first time, I think in 19 or 20 games, I think it was. So that's definitely a bold move from the skipper, but I think it was the right call given Topley is a great operator of the new ball as well, and Yash Dayal seems to be at his best right at the top, swinging the ball effectively both ways. So I think that was a fairly reasonable call. But it was definitely very heartening to see the bowlers kind of putting their hand up in the middle overs and tightening the screws a little bit. Cameron Green off day with the ball, just kept feeding full tosses after full tosses, which was absolutely furious for me as a fan, looking at the kind of deliveries that we were serving up. Even Reece Topley, in fact, towards the end there in the death overs, just kept dishing up full toss after full toss, and someone like a Nicholas Pooran on a ground like Chinnaswamy is not going to miss out on those. So that was a little bit of a cause for concern, but I think still restricting the team to 180 was still a pretty decent effort overall. With respect to the batting, I think this is where all the problems begin and have persisted for the team over the last 4 games. Top order again just not firing. Virat Kohli has been the only saving grace for the team in the first few games. I think Faf got a decent score in the first game against CSK, but after that his form is kind of dipped as well. But both Kohli and du Plessis were looking good at the start today, especially given it was a different sort of a challenge with 2 left-arm spinners operating in the first 3 overs. But I think they navigated that challenge pretty well, and they were able to make some calculated, or they were able to take some calculated risks and get some boundaries away. But I think that Kohli wicket definitely changed things around. I think he's the only batsman who's been in some reasonable touch in the series so far. And I think his wicket kind of was a big, momentum switch for the teams in general. Faf du Plessis, absolutely shocker of a run. Poor call to take that quick single. And he pretty much had given up midway through that run. And this is not the first time, probably being a little overcritical, but it's not the first time that I've seen Faf kind of taking these risky singles. I think, there are at least 3 or 4 instances that I can recollect in the last season as well, where he was, scampering and just managed to survive because he didn't get direct hits last season. But this is something that has become a sort of a trend, trying to get those cheeky singles and risking it a little too much. But today's call was just an absolute shocker. I think he was not even close to, making it to the crease, and he actually set off as soon as he hit the ball. So I'm assuming he felt that he had probably placed it a little to the wide of the fielder, but horrific run out there. And Glenn Maxwell with the bat has been underwhelming to say the least. Especially when you know that someone like a Mayank Yadav, and again, props to Mayank Yadav, I think he's an absolute gem of a find, not just for LSG, but hopefully for the Indian team in the future as well. But he's just a couple of games in still, so we'll need to see how he progresses and grows. But from what we've been able to see of him so far, absolutely fantastic talent. To be able to consistently clock more than 150 kilometers per hour is no joke, and I think his average speed across all the deliveries he's bowled so far this season has been north of 148. So that just tells you the kind of consistency with which he can bowl pace. And unlike some of the other tearaway pacers we've seen previously, he has much better control over his line and length as well, and that I think is what really frustrates the batsman. But I think someone like a Maxwell, you've probably not seen or heard of him too much, and you probably don't have a whole lot of data to go by, except for maybe the performance that he put in last game for LSG. But even based on that, you should have probably seen a couple of those dismissals that he got in that previous game as well. Just hurrying the batsman in those short pitch balls and basically hitting the top of the bat when they're trying to either pull or hook it. Same thing happened with Maxwell today as well. Just got rushed into that shot, hitting the top of the bat, and just bubbling up for an easy catch. Very, very questionable decision making from our top order, and I think it is fair for them to get a good amount of criticism for their performances this time around, because there is a lot of money that has been spent on some of these players. Cameron Green as well, I think he looked out of sorts again with the bat too today, and the ball that got him out was an absolute peach of a delivery. But again, that doubt that Mayank created in Green's mind with the short pitch deliveries a couple of balls ago, I think was the key factor there. And Cameron Green kind of looked all over the place, getting bowled at that point of time. But all in all, the top order continues to disappoint. This is something that is not something we're used to seeing as an RCB franchise previously. I think the top order has been their strength, and it's guys like Faf and Maxwell who are part of this team, who've been a part of this team for a good couple of years now, and they've had a fantastic run last season, all three of them, right? Kohli, Glenn, and Faf, all three of them, the KGF of the team, have done brilliantly well for us last season. And I think it was the lower order that was causing us a lot of problems last time around. But this time, the lower order definitely seems to be stepping up quite a bit. But the top order has been absolutely dismal. Virat Kohli, I think he's the only guy who's looked in some sort of a rhythm, but everyone else has just been all over the place. And you just simply cannot expect a team to do well when three of your top 4 or 5 batters are overseas players and all three of them are failing consistently match after match. I know it's just 4 matches in, but this has been an absolute horrific show from all of them so far. And it seems so weird to be saying this, but for a change, I feel a lot more confident in our lower orders abilities, or in our lower orders ability to score some runs and be a little bit more consistent than the top order, and that is saying a lot. Tough luck. Again, very unfortunate for us as fans that we're having to see performances like this, especially at home. All other teams seem to be making their home grounds a fortress, barring Mumbai, obviously, who lost at home a day ago as well. But every other team is finding ways to win at home, and that has been an issue for RCB year after year, season after season, and nothing seems to be changing. Only change this time around seems to be that even the top order is failing, which hasn't really happened very often in the years before. Definitely a very poor start. Only shining light in that batting performance was Mahipal Lomror, scoring 33 runs of 13 balls. He's been excellent as an impact player, coming in and scoring those big hits as and when needed. And even at that point, with Mahipal Lomror and Dinesh Karthik at the crease, I think we needed 60 runs of the last 4 overs, which was still gettable. And I think we, still had a fair crack at it. But I think we were just at that point where the loss of even 1 wicket would kind of expose the tail, and that's exactly what happened. As soon as Dinesh Karthik fell, I think it just kind of unraveled the rest of the batting order, and we fell well short of the target. But Mahipal Lomror, I think he's doing an excellent bit, coming in lower and getting some valuable runs at a very quick pace for the team. Between the lower order batsmen there, I think we're in fairly decent shape. Between Lomror, Karthik and Anuj Rawat, I think 1 or 2 of them are putting their hand up every single time. But it is that top order of 5 batsmen, minus Virat Kohli, 4 batsmen, Faf du Plessis, Glenn Maxwell, Cameron Green and Rajat Patidar. These guys need to come to the party, and come to the party very, very quickly. 4 games in, 9th in the table, not where we want to be, but obviously, things have just not fallen in place. And what kind of really frustrated me as a fan, especially, was the post-match interview where Faf du Plessis kind of was still picking out our underperformance with respect to our bowling and our catching. Yes, agreed. We could have done much better with the ball, especially in the power play with the seamers. We could have done much better with our catching abilities as well. But at the end of the day, I think 180 is still a fairly par score, especially with the kind of batting power that we have as a team. And also given the fact that LSG don't necessarily have the most potent bowling attack, and even with someone like a Mohsin Khan missing today, their death overs were fairly light as well with respect to bowling options there. So I think Mayank Yadav was the only legitimate threat that they had, and they just failed to navigate that. So in all, very poor application from the team. And one other point that I've observed so far in the 4 games that RCB has played, whether we bat first or whether we bowl first, that starting 11 just never seems to change. Right, for the first 3 games it was Alzari Joseph, and for the 4th game now we have brought in Reece Topley. But outside of that playing 11 combination just does not change. If we are batting first, then Mahipal, then Vaishak comes in as our impact player in the second innings, or if we are bowling first, then Mahipal Lomror comes in as the impact player in the second innings. So that is absolutely baffling. I cannot understand why you would not have someone like a Vijay Kumar Vaishak in the lineup today bowling, when he was the only one who was able to use some varieties in those middle overs and trouble the batsmen in that previous game against KKR. So that to me is an absolutely confusing decision. Across all games, for whatever reason, they tend to go with the same starting 11, and they have one backup batter or one backup bowler that they can bring on in the second innings as the impact player. I think they're kind of trying to play it a little bit safe, and just goes to show the lack of form and the lack of faith in the top order right now. I think just given the run of games that we've had right now, I think they feel very comfortable having this other extra batsman in the lineup, someone like a Mahipal Lomro to come in later on. But otherwise, when you look at that batting lineup, right, Virat Kohli, Faf du Plessis, Glenn Maxwell, Rajat Patidar, Cameron Green, Dinesh Karthik, and either one of Anuj Rawat or Mahipal Lomro, that is actually a fairly solid batting order. If those many batsmen cannot get the job done for you, the other eighth batsman very rarely will be able to get it done as well, right? You need to be able to deliver with that big a batting order, those big names in that batting order, and the order keeps changing as well, right? I think barring the openers, the batsman coming in at one down, sometimes it's Rajat Patidar, sometimes it's Cameron Green. So that has been pretty confusing as well. So yeah, so anyway, so that was the summary of the game. 4 games in, we have a few away games now, and again, let's see if the away games bring better luck, because playing at home has definitely not favored Bengaluru so far. The team has looked very vulnerable, lot more questions than answers at this point. 10 more games to go, still too early I guess, but I think this loss was a very crucial one, especially against the likes of LSG, who's also, per my understanding, one of the teams that will be shooting for those top 4 positions. You cannot afford to lose such games, especially at home, and expect to crack your way into the top 4. Still not the end of the road for the team. 10 more games to go. Stranger things have happened. And I'm a big believer in miracles in general in the world of sport, but things are just not looking as bright and sunny as we were hoping for as RCB fans, unfortunately. Next game, we're visiting Rajasthan in Jaipur, Rajasthan Royals. They sit very pretty at the top of the table with 3 wins in 3 games. So that will definitely be a challenging game for us. But the team needs to step up and pull up their socks and put in a performance, or else, we can pretty much kiss the season goodbye then and there. Because 1 win out of 5 games, especially in a competitive league like this with 10 teams now since the last couple of years, very rarely are you going to be able to find enough momentum and change in your fortunes to be able to make it into the top 4 after that. Absolutely under par, underwhelming performance again, with the bat especially. The top order needs to come good. They have the firepower there, but as long as they don't apply themselves, I don't see the fortunes changing. I especially am very critical of someone like a Glenn Maxwell with the bat. He needs to be able to pick the right bowlers to go after, and time and again we see him trying to be aggressive right from the first ball when he might not necessarily have to be that way. And again, yes, that is Maxwell's brand of playing, but I think being a senior member on the team, I think he should bat with a lot more responsibility, and I keep reiterating the same thing over and over again. Someone like him definitely needs to step up and be able to make a bigger impact on this team. Great to see him with the ball, but I think him coming good with the bat is the bigger deal right now for the team. Let's see. Hopefully fortunes change for RCB. The name change unfortunately hasn't brought around too much change in luck for them. We'll wait and watch. Next game against Rajasthan Royals. We'll see how things go. Thank you for tuning in. This is Shravan with Willow and Leather. Please do like this video, share it with your friends and family, and please subscribe to this channel. I'm getting close to 50 subscribers now, so I definitely want to breach that mark as quickly as possible. Thank you once again to all of you for watching my videos so far and providing your feedback and input. Really appreciate all the support and all the comments from you guys as well. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.